Mike Bohn of MMA Junkie standing with Dustin Poirier at American Top Team. And Dustin, you were just a few weeks out from your UFC 236 interim title fight with Max Holloway in the midst of training camp here. You've done main events, you've done 5-round fights. How does a championship camp compare to the past, what you've done before?
You know, my last 3 fights in a row have been 5 rounds. So this is just another 5-round fight, except at the end somebody's getting a gold belt strapped around their waist. So the preparation is the same. You know, the conditioning, the output, everything's very similar to my last camps. Just the small details in training and obviously preparing for a guy like Max. We set the training around that, you know, his strengths, his weaknesses, and we're going to try to exploit them. But other than that, you know, the workload and the work ethic is the same.
Yeah. And what do you have to worry the most about Max? I mean, obviously you don't want to give away the game plan, but to me, I mean, it seems like once he kind of gets going downhill in a fight, once he gets in his groove, that's when he's the biggest problem for people. Is the key element here kind of to disrupt that rhythm for him and make sure he doesn't settle into a groove there?
Yeah, it's to make him uncomfortable, but you're 100% right. Fights usually start going downhill for guys because Max has a superior conditioning to a lot of the guys he fights. And he's a rhythm and range fighter, and the further along the fight goes, the more he starts establishing his range and rhythm, and it just, you know, like you said, goes downhill for them. But he's better be ready to fight, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's going to be moving up in weight for this. You were at 45 for a while, but you've obviously filled in really well to this weight class. What are you expecting out of him at 55? Do you think he's a similar guy? Do you think there's anything different with him?
I'm not sure. You know, everybody's different, but Max isn't a small guy for the featherweight. He's really big. He's not a small guy for 55 either. There was the fight with Khabib when he tried to take it on short notice. They wouldn't allow him. The athletic commission stopped him because he was too heavy to cut to 55. So that says a lot about how big the guy can get between fights. And you know, he's 27, I believe. So you get more dense. Your composition changes over time. Mine has, and you know, he might fill out and stay at 55. But he's got the length to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, this pay-per-view is going to be the first on the ESPN Plus era. They're kind of putting it behind the paywall now. What do you make of that? Is this a good thing for the sport? Is it a bad thing? How do you kind of see it? I know it's very early on, but what do you think this kind of means for pay-per-view in the United States?
I think it's tough to tell right now. It just got announced, and we haven't had any runs at it yet. But any problems that do come up, I'm sure they're going to fix immediately and make it easier for everybody to get the pay-per-views because they want to make as much money as they can. But for me, you know, my people, like my father-in-law, my father, these guys don't have smart TVs and don't pay for apps or subscription. They don't understand how streaming stuff like that. So, you know, there's going to be people in places that don't get the whole thing, but I think it'll catch on eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is for the interim title. All signs to point to the winner of this fighting, Khabib Nurmagomedov. At the press conference you guys did, Max said he's doing this fight because he basically wants to prove something to Khabib, that he's ready for that fight. What did you make of those comments? And do you kind of look at it the similar way? Like, are you trying to prove anything to the champion in this fight, or did you find those comments a bit unusual from him?
I honestly don't. At this point in my career in life, I don't really take a whole lot of what people say and dwell on it or think about it. I'm fighting to prove to myself and my family that I'm going to reach a goal that I set out at the beginning of all of this, and to be world champion. Other than that, you know, I don't care what other people's opinions or other, you know, I just want to go to sleep with that belt. I want to take that belt home, defend it, unify it, do whatever we got to do. But I'm not trying to get anybody else's attention.
Yeah, and over the past couple weeks, you know, there was speculation maybe Conor McGregor would come into play in this title picture here with the winner of this fight, or maybe with Khabib. But overnight, he put out that tweet saying that he's retiring from MMA. First of all, I'm sure you saw that. What was your reaction? Do you buy it?
Nah, the guy's a fighter. He's gonna come back and fight, I'm sure. I mean, I haven't seen the tweet yet, and I haven't seen like a press release or something. I don't know if he was just like messing around tweeting. I'm not sure yet. I've been at the gym for most of the day. Maybe I'll check it out when I get home, but I haven't really seen a whole lot about it.
Sure. I mean, Dana basically came out too saying like he is buying this. He thinks,
really?
You know, he is retired. I mean, obviously he hasn't like informed USADA or anything. He's not out of the pool, which I think would be, you know, the biggest step because it would take 6 months to get back in. But if Conor McGregor is gone from this lightweight division, how does that change things? Because it seems like a lot of people angling for that fight. If he's off the table, I think it allows the opportunity to make a lot of different matchups and kind of move forward in a way that we haven't been able to do for a while here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting if he's really out of the picture, which I just don't think he is. Yeah, it's going to be some different matchups made in the division, but there's still so many fights for him to come back and make, and so many fights that people want to see him in, that I just don't believe it.
Yeah, a lot of people, the speculation is, maybe this is just a public negotiation ploy. He did this a couple of years ago when he said, I'm retiring young, thanks for the cheese. He ended up fighting Nate Diaz just a few months later. Is there any possibility of that? I mean, like we said, we don't know how this ESPN Plus pay-per-view thing works, but I imagine with the UFC getting like a flat rate for pay-per-view and stuff, that might change things in terms of the money you're making and when you have those points on the contract. Do you think that could have anything to do with that? I know it's still very early, but just looking on the outside, perhaps?
I mean, that could. But one thing that's the same is I'm fighting Max Holloway April 13th, and that's all I really care about, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And with this fight, I know every fight you have, you like to auction off your shorts for charity, all your fight gear and everything. I know you're doing something very special for this one. Can you tell us about it and kind of share this news?
Yeah, sure. We just finalized it yesterday. We're going to be raising money to build a playground at an elementary school for disabled children. So it'll be disabled accessible equipment, swings that you can roll a wheelchair on, and just different things like that. There was a kid named Aaron Hill who had a very rare brain disease called ALD, and his dream and wish was that his school would have a playground that people in wheelchairs and people in his class can go have time and play on. And he passed away before his dream became a reality. So what me and the Good Fight Foundation are going to do is raise money through the goodfightgroup.com and also auction off all my fight gear from this fight and get a playground built. We're going to reach that goal one way or another, and we're going to get a playground built in Aaron Hill's honor, and his dream and wish can live on, and we're going to put a plaque in the middle of it and dedicate it to him.
That's an incredible gesture. Where will that be?
That'll be at Prairie Elementary School, Lafayette, Louisiana.
Wow, that's amazing. And why is this so important to you to do things like this? I mean, I know this is the first time you've been doing it for a while now. Why is it so important for you to give back?
Just another reason to fight for. My nonprofit is called thegoodfightgroup.com. I'm just trying to fight the good fight. Man, if I can make more people, I'm going to go in there and leave it all on the line and fight my heart out every time. If I can make a couple more people cheer, have a reason to smile, feel good about something, if I can affect as many people as I can in a positive way through my platform and through fighting, which I'm going to do regardless, then, we're fighting for a good reason.
Absolutely. And back to the fight with Max, I know you've said in the past that you guys are such different people now, evolved so much as fighters, but what about mentally? I mean, you do have that win over him. I imagine, you guys have felt each other in the cage there. You kind of had that look. Is there a mental advantage there that you could still hold all these years later, even though maybe you guys physically, talent-wise, are very different?
It's cool to say that I beat the guy before, but like we were saying, this is a whole different fight. This is a completely different fight with two different people now. He's hitting his stride and looked incredible in his last performances. He's beat some of the best, finished some of the best guys in the world twice. And, I'm hitting my stride as well, feeling really good. And you got two really confident, high-level fighters going in there and leaving it all on the line, and somebody's walking out with gold. This is a very exciting fight, a very high-level fight. There's going to be a lot of action. The fans are really in for this one. Yeah,
absolutely. And last thing, I know you've talked a long time about chasing this goal. It's been a long road for you from, even before the WC Fightful to here, the UFC's your 20th fight or more than 20th fight in the octagon. What's it going to mean for you to have that belt wrapped around your waist on April 13th and really accomplish that goal that you've been pursuing for so long?
It's just another step in my journey, another chapter in the book. But it's what I set out to do. The reason I ever laced up a pair of gloves was to say I'm the best at this. And, it's just going to be the fruit of my labor. It's going to be proving my wife right all these years. She's been telling me that she knows I'm going to do it. So it's just everything coming together. And after I do it, that's still not the end. There's still more to do. There's still more work to be done. But it's going to be a beautiful night, April 13th.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dustin. We're really looking forward to it. You can order UFC 236 on pay-per-view through ESPN Plus in the United States and just through your normal channels elsewhere around the world. Thanks so much, Dustin. Best of luck.
Yeah, thanks, man.